No, of course, it cuts both ways. Companies that are just having a cash flow problem and they need a loan, either just to a working capital loan, or they require
Yeah.
for capex investment. That's a good thing. That's what economic activity requires. It investment is driven by loans. But at the same time, we've had in this country a culture of taking loans and just doing nothing with it, and converting yourself into an NPA, and nothing will happen. Well, there's been some good news on that front, because India's NPAs, after the cleaning up of the financial architecture, the
Yes.
NNPAs have come down to less than 0.5% of the banking sector assets. It was nearly 9% a few years ago. A shocking
That's
amount
good.
of money. Okay,
Yeah.
disturbingly large amount of money. And a lot of them have been forced to be written off. So India's financial system seems to be healthier. So let me get a different perspective on this. Let's start from the theme that we're discussing. Gaurav Agarwal, on the aspect of this middle point for the people who are exporting to the United States of America, where they are having to deal with first uncertainty for several months, now tariffs for 6 months. The benefits of the diversification of FTAs will only come sometime next year. What happens in between?
So, Rishabh, this is a very pertinent question which you have raised, and let me tell you that the exporters who are expecting exporting to US have really turned down. So their turnover, which were majorly dependent on the US exports, have really gone down, and they are not getting any business from anywhere. I am telling you the practical problem down the line. Because see, every exporter is having the clients not from, but it's a long-term business. It's not a short-term business. So when we talk about that getting the business from any other part of the world, it becomes difficult for the exporters to make it as soon as possible. So now they are finding the buyers from the other country. Now the very pertinent question is that when they go and look for more buyers, now the pressure comes for the pricing. Because see, if you are the person that you have to sell more, you have to compromise on the pricing part. Then again, it comes to the question of cost of capital, which you are raising. That the cost of capital in India is so high that that offering a product below cost becomes a problem for the business owner. But he doesn't have any choice. He has to run the show. So in that case, they are struggling with the losses. They are struggling with the things, and down the line they are bound to sell before below the prices, which I can tell you because I am
Okay,
dealing with the
I'm sorry
business
to
on a day in day
interrupt
out.
you,
That
but this is in itself is an example of how India is changing. The visuals that you're watching right now, the red carpet, is outside
yeah.
something now that is called the Kartavya Bhavan. Okay, this is part of the new Central Secretariat. Last year, during the same telecast, sitting here with me, you would have been watching the same visuals, but those would have been outside North and South Block. This is a story of India's capex in every single sector. Not only we have new parliament building, the secretariats which have been combined into one for efficiency, brand new, are being built. So these visuals will change forever, literally. The building from where the finance minister sits and leaves has changed. The building to which she goes, which is the parliament, has changed. Telling a story of India's change as we speak. So if you're expecting to see the very familiar North and South Block, not happening. Gauravji, finish your thought.
So that's what I was thinking, that the situation as of now for the exporters is not very good. But yes, we are expecting that they will get a new business from across the world other than US. And we are hoping that GDP is doing good. But
Okay.
coming back to the Dr. Ranjit Mehta's point that MSME, if we talk about, if in India government takes care of the MSMEs well, because they are the major contributor of GDP in India, and if they get incentives down the line, actually implementable schemes, as Dr. Mehta was saying that though there is a scheme that till 10 crores exporters or MSMEs can get a loan interest free or collateral free. So but actually that is not happening down the line. So if that happens and the government takes care of these MSMEs, I think that will be a great boost to the
Okay, all right.
MSME
I want to
business.
discuss Gaurav,
Well,
one quick thing before we move on,
yeah,
because
yeah,
one of the
please.
sectors which has been worst hit has been gems and jewelry, right? For those people, you know that 90% of the world diamond trade went through India because all the cutting, polishing work, India had a monopoly literally all over the world. But there's a problem, and the problem is not just about Trump and tariffs, and the other problem is that lab grown diamonds, ladies and gentlemen, we also make lab grown diamonds here in India. Okay, so it's an industry we are involved in also. But the Chinese have pumped this industry so much that lab grown diamond prices are down 96%. No jeweler will buy a lab grown diamond these days because it's potentially worthless. Overall diamond prices have halved in the past few years. So the industry itself is in trouble, Gauravji. So is there another pie of the story that's hitting at least one of these sectors, which is gems and jewelry?
So actually, there what the India has to think of, because we are still, if we see the jewelers in India, they are still pushing up the natural diamond, and instead of focusing on these lab grown to scale up their facilities with production of lab grown diamonds, we are still have a very thought process that these actual diamonds are more precious and all. So we have to come up and see. China in any case has always hit on to the Indian markets to start with. So this is a very new concept which has grown with the lab grown diamonds. I think India has to buck up if they want to actually deal with
Okay.
the economic, international pressures, and they have to increase their production, which is not yet at par with
Yeah,
the
but
Chinese.
let's not start investing in more lab-grown diamonds. It's become worthless. There is no industrial demand for it doesn't exist at that scale. 96% price drop. If it happened in any other industry, that would be catastrophic. That would be the end of the industry. 96% price drop, not little bit. And diamonds, the only reason the jewelry industry is still okay, and trust me, for jewelers, rise in gold prices is not necessarily benefiting them unless they've been sitting on inventory, because in the end they only make a percentage on the price when they charge for making. It helps, but not really. So if you thought, oh, the jewelers must be making so much money because gold prices have gone up so much, not necessarily. So let me get a larger picture here. Sumit Peer has been listening in very patiently. Sumit, let's take a quick thought with you before I take a break and come back. What's happening in the overall picture? Are we doing okay, and what are you watching out for?
Good morning, Rishabh. Thanks for having me on your show. A pleasure as always. I think overall, if you look at the global economy, we are doing pretty much okay. If you look at the inflation, you look at foreign exchange reserves, you look at the tax structure, the amount of taxes we are collecting and we are going to cut, we are going to collect. You look at the GST collections. You look at the overall picture of the economy, it looks to be okay. Still, the GDP growth is quite, I would say, beautiful. Expected to do very well. Overall, the things are okay, but there are some pain areas which we need to work on. There are some turbulences which we need to just be ready for. I just want to make 1 or 2 points which are very important right now. When our friends here have been talking about how the MSMEs have been suffering, that's a reality. But the happy news is, with this FTA, for example, what we have done with EU today, there's an interesting aspect, that is it opens a $10 trillion market a year, $10 trillion US market a year, because what EU imports is $7 trillion of goods and $3 trillion of services. That makes 10 trillion. The total GDP of EU is 21.1 trillion. So basically, at 0% import duty, which is going to be for 99% of the things in a year to come, that is the quantum of import market or the export market for us, which opens for goods and services. For example, I'll give you another example. Now with this EU FTA happening, for example, Pakistan and Bangladesh has been selling. Pakistan has been selling around $12 billion of garments into EU, and Bangladesh around $5 billion. They have got this GSP status, which allowed them to sell because they were literally paying no tax because of the GSP status, which we did not have. Now with this FTA done, immediately that 12 billion of Pakistan and around 6 billion of Bangladesh can immediately come to us in textiles. Leather, it's a few $1 billion, and especially talking of gems and jewelry. For EU, the market is right now is around a $10 billion, which was earlier be done by some players because we had to pay import duty. Now with this FTA coming in a year's time, we don't have to pay anything, and these are the kind of markets which are opening up. The American FTA, they are knocking our doors right today. They want to have FTA with us. Canada is there, and 14 more countries are there. We've already done 8. that if you look at the opportunity, if we can survive for another 1 year, hold it up, but the quantum of markets which is opening, the amount of market which is opening for a country with a GDP of $4.3 trillion,
Yes.
I'm talking
I
of
agree with you. The fundamental realignment is not happening. It's already happened. You mentioned Canada. The Canadian Prime Minister is expected to be in India very shortly, and and a major trade deal with Canada, which after all the diplomatic issues that have happened is inevitable. I need to take a very quick break. As you're watching visuals of the finance minister, she's not going to Parliament. She has to first go to Rashtrapati Bhavan to complete formalities there. Sid, when we come back, let's do a two window of the last year exiting the old North Block and this year the brand new Kartavya Bhavan, and you can put that into context for our viewers also with something that you can upload. But we'll come back, take a short break. See you in a couple of minutes.